Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's do some inside my head. I caught a guy who is 2275, so hopefully there will be some action to be seen here. And we are headed for a French defense, against which I tend to play both the knight d2 and the knight c3 variation. This time I'm going to do with the knight c3 one. Knight d2 exactly denies what just happened then, because against knight c3 bishop b4, the so-called Vinave variation is considered to be probably the most ambitious approach to play as black, which is something you can't do against knight d2. But yeah, both of them have got their ups and downs. It just depends on what mood I am in when I'm playing it. This is a variation that I play as black myself a fair bit. When I was still active in tournament competition, I never really played the French much, but funnily enough, when I stopped competitive play and I focused on coaching a fair bit more, then I started to pick it up. Now in this position, c takes b4 is actually a mistake, and he should have taken on d4 instead, because this way I get to pinch the pawns as well as his good bishop. So he's going to end up with a very passive position with no counterplay whatsoever. So that was a very bad error, especially from a 2200. So in this position, for the record, he needs to take here, whereupon I can choose to play knight b5 or take the bishop. The idea with b4 takes is that now after knight b5, if he had taken on a3, then I can play c3 threatening knight d6 check, and if the bishop drops back, then after bishop takes a3, I conquer the diagonal, and I will plant a piece on d6, which is super duper annoying. In contrast now, it's actually quite a good question whether I should take this or develop and allow them to take me, because the bishop on c7 is not exactly a happy camper either. And after knight takes c7, queen takes. Oh, I do have knight f3, because if checked, then I just play here. Cool. Okay, let's do that. So I'm going to take this dude, and then I'm going to play knight f3. So what's happening now is that this check is useless, because bishop here parries all the threats. Bishop d3. My plan is to castle. He's going to play knight c6. Against which I will play c3. Please note that b5 wouldn't have been good because of knight takes d4. That's a very common French tactics that people tend to blunder into. b5, knight takes d4, and if knight takes, then check. And now the rook is hanging as well as the knight. So in order to prevent that, I played c3, and now I'm planning on castling myself. And of course, b5 followed by bishop a3 is solidly part of what I would like to do. Now knight g6 is very timid, and I would like to bite into that right away with h4, h5. It is just the way how you handle this. And if I'm allowed to, I will push the pawn all the way down, so that I will create further dark, weak squares around the black king and the king side in general. I really would like to know how this dude got his rating, because for the time being he's not really showcasing his knowledge that you would associate with this rating. Although then again, I don't really know the value of rating on leeches when it comes to longer time control, so whatever, I don't know, we will see. Now he has got castling, he has got h5. None of these moves are particularly appealing in my humble opinion, but we will see how we go. Okay, knight takes d4 is actually a tactics that I successfully blundered into, because I forgot that if I block it, then after the check I won't be able to play bishop d2, because this is hanging. So this is how the guy got his rating, that he's not as dumb as I am, and in fact he could have already taken me here. So I really should have castled on knight g6. This is what you get for trash talking and not thinking. So I'm going to have to sack an exchange now and hope for the best, really. So I haven't even made up my mind whether I should play queen d2 followed by castles. Yeah, that's what I should do. Okay, so queen d2 takes and castles, and thereby I'm going to Should I? No, I want castling to happen ASAP so that my bishop is not pinned and I can move freely. So the idea now is it would be awesome to push the pawn up here and then have a queen here and a bishop there. It's a bit of a dreamland scenario, but we will try our best to make it happen. I definitely did gain a lot of tempi while he was hunting this stuff down, so I'm almost fully developed. And his king is a major issue, really. Like if he were to castle here now, I would play h5, knight away, h6, g6, and then queen in, queen in, queen in. And that would be a biggie, to say the least. So what he's trying to do now is to block off my b5 intentions. And potentially, even after b5, castle here and then tuck his king away on the c file. For which reason I'm already eyeing with something like queen g5 or pawn up followed by queen g5, which I think is the way to go. Whoa, actually this is a beautiful tactics here. Knight e7, queen g5 is threatening with queen takes check and then bishop check and then takes. Quite neat. Sadly not quite true, because after queen takes, king takes, bishop g5 check, f6 still causes some headache to me. So I would probably have to play something like h6 to force the pawn up and then takes and then bishop g5 check and then the queen is mine. But already it feels to me like I'm building up a fair bit of initiative that can be really annoying for him to meet. For example, if he comes here, I may be able to take rook here and take that too, because thereby I would guard the bishop on d3. So he fell for this tactics. Now the only question that I need to ask from myself is that instead of take and then check and then take, which certainly does win, can I do better by playing queen f6 first, forcing the rook to do something, and then bishop g5 threatening with mate as well as hitting the rook? That is the only dilemma that is left here. After queen f6, I suppose his only move is going to be castles here, which leaves the bishop on e7 unguarded. The knight on e7, sorry. Yeah, let's go for that. This is a bit more adventurous. Once again, I would like you to know that queen e7 followed by bishop g5 check followed by rook takes here is a very easy and clear-cut win. But I would like to go for the neck. Yeah, so he saw the motive too. The problem is for him now that yeah, queen c5 check is pending, as well as a variety of other tactical threats. So yeah, it's not looking like a happy scenario for him by any stretch of the imagination. I could play bishop takes b5 now if I wanted to, so that if bishop takes, then check and check. But also simply check followed by bishop g5 seems to be quite annoying. God, I've got so many winning moves, it's not even funny. Yeah, what to do? Alright. Let's go with this. So now I'm just winning a piece for free, yeah. Oh, this way now I can take and then I'm going to get his rook and then I'm 2 pieces up. So I'm pretty cool with that. So that's G to G. Thank you. And he resigned. And I'm going to play a rematch with him because I'm really curious to see what his knowledge is. But that said, I have to admit that I totally sucked in knight takes d4, which was rather embarrassing. And I'm not particularly proud of that. But this is an uncut version of events, so I'm recording it. I am uploading it as it is, so I'm not trying to make myself look any better than what I am. He doesn't seem to be responding to the a request of my rematch, so instead what I'm going to do is that I'm going to provide a tad bit of analysis here if I can. Okay, I will cancel it and then analysis board. and then back to the beginning. For some reason I got a computer evaluation here. I don't know how to get it now, not because sometimes when I turn this thing on up here, it still doesn't do a thing. So c takes b4, as I said, is not good. C takes d4 is the way to go, and after knight b5, queen here, f4 is theory. And then we take on there, we regain the pawn, but because of we have played so many funky pawn moves, there are a fair few weak squares in our camp. Oops, that was the wrong button. So takes here is definitely a mistake. Knight b5, bishop c7, I took bishop d7, take knight f3. This doesn't seem to align with what the computer wants to do, given that after knight c7 my advantage was +9, and on my next move it went down to +4. Interesting. Knight e7, bishop d3, knight c6. So according to the computer, queen d2 was best, which is not unusual at all in the French. The idea, of course, is to cover the c3 square so that we can safely castle, and we can also support this pawn up bishop here, queen here plan. So that would actually have been the correct move instead of my foolish blunder, which immediately allowed all these knight captures, and he didn't see it right away, so the blunderfest continued, and now I should have just calmly castled and maintained a fantastic position with h4, h5 attack, 2 bishops, space advantage. Basically, this is an ultimate disaster as far as the French is concerned, because he's struggling with space and he didn't manage to generate any counterplay whatsoever. But instead, I foolishly attacked a tad bit too early. But knight d4 is actually a mistake. Wow. And even better would have been knight c e5, pinching the thorn of the pawn chain rather than the middle guy. This is very interesting, because this one actually wouldn't have given me the chance, or not as good of a chance, to sack the exchange over and maintain the initiative. Very curious indeed. And apparently, according to the computer, from here on, I actually played rather accurately by playing queen d2 and castles and trying to build my play around the weakened king side and the horribly weak dark squares. And yeah, b5, as I said, was a mistake. And from here on, I think I played a pretty good game. And yeah, g6 was a terrible blunder. Queen c3 was recommended by the computer, but even here, I appear to have a better position after something like queen takes rook here, queen here, which guards the bishop back, and I'm ready to play bishop g5. And on occasion, I would like to show you this because it's a beautiful motif, for which reason I'm going to play a couple of dumb moves on purpose. So if black were to do something like this, then queen takes g8, knight takes, and h7 is a beautiful way to get a new queen back on the board. Regardless of what black does, I'm going to get a queen next, one way or another. It's a very typical motif in these scenarios in the French. So he played g6. I played queen f6. Once again, queen takes check, king takes check. And now f6 is useless because I just take it, king back, and rook here would have been 100% winning. Very easily too, but anytime I have got an attack, I prefer to keep the queens on the board, and now bishop g5 is an irresistible threat, so he had to castle, and the rest was just carnage. Bishop g5, now this is hanging, so yeah, he should have played queen anywhere, literally. Instead he played rook c8, thinking that one queen each will be lost, forgetting that he actually lost the rook with that too. So that was a game. A rather poor quality game, to be perfectly honest with ourselves, which is a very important part of chess development. So the mental note that I need to take, and the note to self that I need to make here rather, is that queen d2 was only move here in order to prevent the tactics appearing either here or here. So I need to make sure that I won't blunder into that again. But I still hope that this video proved to be a little bit useful to you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will be back with more soon. Thanks for watching.